It's Platt, and today we try an interesting twist on breakfast. That's next to Platt's Beer of the Week. So the particular beer we have today comes to us from Founders. There's their French Toast Bastard, Vanilla Cinnamon Maple Bourbon Barrel Aged Scotch Ale. That sounds like a mouthful, but a tasty mouthful. Little background on the Founders. Founders was founded by Mike Stevens and Dave Ingbers. They were college buddies in the Grand Rapids area and wanted to live the dream, open a brewery, which is what they did in 1996. They opened the John Parnell Brewing Company. Now, it didn't stay that name for long because the next year, 1997, they changed it to the Canal Street Brewing Company. The Canal Street was the street it was located on. Actually, that's the name of the brewery. Everybody thought it was called Founders, but that wasn't the actual name of the brewery. Where Founders came about was probably their first, I guess you would say their first flagship beer, even though they really didn't take off well. Their first beer was Founders Pale Ale. And the original logo, Founders, was in nice big fonts, and then the Pale Ale and the brewery, everything else was in smaller fonts, to where everybody just kind of referred to them as Founders. You'd see the bottle from a distance like, oh, that Founders beer. And just kind of snowballed. Similar to Shiner. The actual brewery is a Spitzel brewery, but everybody just, and the beer they became known for was Shiner Bock, and everybody just referred to all their beers as Shiner beers. So, similar thing. Unfortunately for them, they did not have the greatest, start. From 99 to 2001, it was kind of touch and go. They weren't making any money. They were actually losing money. Afraid they're going to go broke. As far as Mike and Dave, they weren't able to pay themselves, and the only money they were making was tips bartending at the tap room. So things were looking kind of rough. Actually, 01 was kind of the bottom. They ended up having to sell some equipment, including a beer filtration machine. And it was at that moment they thought, well, look, if this ship's going to sink, we're going to do things our way, the styles of beer that we want, instead of the kind of standard blonde ale, brown ale, pale ale thing. We're really going to start kind of doing some new stuff. The turnaround really started in full in 2002. A couple of different things happened. First, they brought on Jeremy Kosmicki as the head brewer, and he really started to change the direction they were going. Also that year, they released Dirty Bastard, a beer that really started to put them on the map and, again, kind of changed the direction. It's a big Scottish ale, and we see now, that was the direction they were going. Things really started to turn around in 2003, and they started beginning to do bourbon barrel-aged beers. Now, today, we see a ton of them at your local liquor store, but at the time, that was kind of a revolutionary thing, and not a lot of people were doing it. And again, starting to really set themselves apart from the standard brew pubs out in the marketplace. 2004, their Kentucky Breakfast Stout, another beer that has really put them on the map, was named the #2 beer in the world by Beer Advocate, and this just really kind of set them off and going. 3 years later, they moved to their current facility, built out a large production facility, began, expanding distribution and really starting to take off. Now, like a lot of breweries, at some point in time, the owners want to take a little equity out, want to cash out a little bit, and in 2014, they sold a 30% stake of the company to Mal San Miguel. That is a large Spanish brewing conglomerate. 5 years later, they decided to sell them a majority position, sold them another 60%, with Mike and Dave each maintaining a 5% piece of the company. They're still part of the company, just now it's no longer considered craft. It's under a major brewing conglomerate. As far as their beers go, they're most known, again, for those kind of big-bodied bourbon barrel-aged, your imperial stouts, stuff like that. But they do have a full line, including something called Solid Gold and American Lager. I've talked about that before. I love when breweries have kind of quote-unquote regular guy beer. Let's talk about some of those beers specifically. First is All Day IPA, 4.7% ABV, 42 IBUs. This is a style of beer that I think's also great for breweries to have. People love IPAs, but, sometimes you need a beer a little more crushable. On a warm summer day, just knocking back 8% IPAs is probably not the greatest idea. So a crushable style IPA is kind of a good idea. Next is Dirty Bastard, 8.5% ABV. This Scottish ale, like I said, was the one that kind of turned it around. These are just bigger bodied, maltier, beers. And at the time, Scottish ales weren't something people were doing a lot of. Lastly, we talk about KBS, Kentucky Breakfast Stout Blueberry, 11.2% ABV. This is a barrel-aged imperial stout with blueberries. Just, I bet that's a funky, cool combination of flavors, and I'll definitely have to check it out. Well, before we try this particular beer, though, let's check out the stats. All right, now time for questions for Platt. If you have a question that you want me to answer in a video, you know, a topic that you want me to go a little more depth on, please send it to plattsboozblog@gmail.com. Put in the subject line questions for Platt. Today's question comes from Mullet Man, great name, and he asked a question referring to one of my wine videos, do I have to use grape juice or can I use cranberry juice? The answer is you could pretty much use any kind of fruit juice that does not have preservatives. So if you want to use an apple juice, a cranberry juice, a cran apple, cran grape, as long as there's no preservatives, you should be all right. Even, I used to tell people for a while not to use the acidic juices, your orange juice or grapefruit juice, but if you go on my Will It Ferment videos, I've done orange juice and it really turns out nice. Actually, orange juice is a great one. And most domestically, you know, produced orange juices are going to have some additional sugar, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, what about, I'm going to answer one more potential question. What about vegetable juices? I know I've seen recipes for carrot juice, you know, carrot wine and stuff like that, celery juice, what have you. Those you're going to be able to use, but you probably have to add sugar. They don't have enough natural sugar. But as far as your ability to ferment them, go right ahead. So you can use pretty much any juice. You just basically want to avoid the preservatives, and if you're going the vegetable juice route, you might have to add some sugar. Well, enough about that. Let's try a little breakfast. Oh yeah, it's a nice deep brown, copperish a little bit. I get a little reddish hue in there, about a finger of nice dark khaki head. Oh my gosh, that smells just a French toast and that cinnamon and the, oh my gosh. I hope this tastes like it smells. Let's go in. Oh my gosh. That is a lot of flavor right there. This is something you're not going to drink 2 or 3 of. I will say that because it's an intense flavor, 11% ABV. I notice it going down, but man, that's a lot of flavor. I mean, that is French toast. That is, I want to pour this over French toast. Like, I want to dip French toast in this. It's really, oh man, that is good. That is a home run right there. It's just a lot of complementary flavors. You know, this is literally like eating just French toast for breakfast with the syrup over it. It really hits all those flavors. Yeah, I get the vanilla, I get the maple. Cinnamon out of those, maybe a little further back. But man, that maple, you literally just could taste French toast in your mouth. I mean, this is a good example of a dessert beer. Again, you're not going to drink multiple of these, but man, if you want something, if you want to skip the actual dessert, maybe you're at a restaurant, you know, at a brew pub or someplace that has this beer, instead of the piece of cheesecake or the, you know, chocolate lava cake or whatever the generic desserts, get you one of these. Probably similar calorie-wise too, but get you one of these. This is just absolutely outstanding. I know they have several variations of this. I'm definitely going to have to keep my eye out for it. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or beers that you'd like me to try, please leave me in the comment section. or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Well, until next time, bottoms up.